Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lisa Natoli, and this is the Lisa Show. This is the video portion of the Lisa Show, and I'm so excited today to have Dr. Roxanne Daleo with us. Welcome, Dr. Roxy.
Thank you, Lisa. Great
And
to be
this
here.
is the first time I've done the Lisa Show on video. So the Lisa Show has been something I started 6 weeks ago, and the focus has been on healing, and it's just been in audio. And I have some really incredible guests that I have wanted to talk to, and I love the visual element. I love having people on visually. So I've been thinking, how do I handle this? And I really have felt that for my interviews, I'm going to do video because I really want people to see you. And I'm very excited for today's episode. Dr. Roxanne Daleo works with children and adults. And today we're going to be talking about children in A Course in Miracles and miracle mindedness. And I know that a lot of parents will probably be looking forward to this episode because how do you bring your child into miracle mindedness? So what I'd like to do is just give a description here, bio of your work. And I love your description on your website, to open a child's mind to the power within. So Dr. Roxanne Daleo is known as Dr. Roxy. She is a renowned clinician, leader, and pioneer in health psychology. Dr. Roxy has an unwavering passion for helping children discover their inner resources and realize their own self-worth. As a counselor in pediatric stress management, specializing in anxious children and parent coaching, her training from Harvard University and the Young Institute combine evidence-based mind-body techniques with expressive arts and anchors her work in one of the most powerful methods for awakening natural healing within. Her groundbreaking work as founder of MindWorks for Children provides parents, caregivers, and children with alternative solutions to alleviate stress and anxiety. Her use of art, music, guided imagery, and meditation programs allow children to access their own internal source of strength, love, and innate gifts. So welcome, Dr. Roxy, and
Thank
people can
you,
find
Lisa.
out more information from your website, which is drroxannedaleo.com. And I'd love for you just to share with us how you got started, how it is that you wanted to work with children and adults and blending in this idea of miracle mindedness in A Course in Miracles.
Well, as I may have mentioned to you before, Lisa, I've been studying the Course in Miracles since 1992, and I have always felt that um, all of the workbook lessons and the process that I had to go through really was an eye opener and a heart opener for me. And I usually, in a natural way, bring what I am learning spiritually or intellectually, educationally to my workplace. Now, I was in my beginning stages as a play therapist, creative arts therapist at Children's Hospital, and you're not supposed to be promoting the discussion about God.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to be very careful to touch base with the parents to be sure that I could open the conversation with children and talk about here's how I would say it. What do you believe is sacred and divine? You know, how do you pray? Do you pray? You know, what is your belief? Do you have a belief? And based on that beginning few questions and with the permission of the parents, I would then invite children to use the expressive arts. And the easiest way to get kids to express what they know and what their belief structure is to draw pictures and to write poetry and to just use an indirect method of uncovering what they know and where you might want to support them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was through the arts, and particularly art therapy, that I began to see that there was a way to have a conversation with kids about what they believed, particularly with the chronically ill kids. What did they believe happened after they, passed from this life?
Mm-hmm.
And I was always so amazed at what kind of insights they had. But my objective was to ground my understanding from the Course in Miracles in my conversation and have a conscious conversation with them. So, for example, I'd like to use love as the energy of God. And when I say, to youngsters, um, you know, since God and love is one and the same, healing is love. And loving yourself and loving uh, everything around you is really part of how you feel better, how you how you engage in the awareness of life. I often ask kids, how will you be loved today? And I ask parents to invite kids to express themselves in a very playful way, to open the conversation so that you're speaking on their level.
I
And
love that. I love that question. How will you be loved today?
yes,
And what are some of the responses that come?
spiritual mindedness aspect. And so what I love to do, Lisa, is I love to teach parents and caregivers that the line in for children is really to capture their hum. Where do they hum? Where is their awareness, their frequency? Because we know that their set point, their vibe, is at a higher frequency most often than parents. So you have to be in joy to reach them most often. And you can't expect a kid to slow down and meditate and get into a relaxed state if you're not capturing their attention at that set point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love to use story and rhyme and rhythm and music. And so what I would say, to match them physically and emotionally, we need to understand that vibrations of music are actually quite effective in bridging the place where the kids are at and where you're at, and coming into synchronicity, coming into this beautiful space of shifting our energy level and finding that we're in the same spot. So because music not only affects our desire to move or to dance, it also has a very profound effect on the inner bodily, I would say, processes, such as your heart rate, respiration, breathing. When you use the music as a setting for setting the tone to be together, you're automatically entraining yourself, being sympathetic with your children. And then I love to use rhyme. So if I say, how will I be loved today? I would say it in this way. How am I to be loved today? Let me start in this simple way. I love everything I see. I see love in you and me. Now, how would you be loved? So that's my entree. That's my way of inviting children to get the concept and to be in the rhythm and rhyme of that concept. How will I be loved today? And actually model it in a very simple, rhythmic phrase, so to speak.
I really love that. And I can see that a lot of adults could do that. Like, I love many things that you just said, like this idea, like in order to reach them, you have to be coming from this place of joy first. Like, how do you get them to that vibration?
The
And then
parent?
using the music, like often in therapy,
Yeah,
it's all about talking about stories and feelings. And my own work as a teacher, I have found, is that often brings people right back into the vibration of the problem again. But if you can do something to get them out of that space, get them dancing, get them singing, get them playing, then it's all of a sudden there's like a natural flow of happiness and joy and peace.
exactly. Remember that the two most high frequency words that we can express is I love. I love. And when I say to parents, just sit down, slow down, take back the afternoon. We're all in such a bloody rush, and it's part of my job that I feel most of the time I'm just asking parents to slow down
Mhm,
and reclaim time that they think they do not have,
mhm,
to enjoy the sun descending in the sky and the day shifting gears, and we need to shift gears and just calm down.
mhm,
And when you sit on the couch, as my mom did with us, and just force yourself to be in the moment,
mhm,
it begins to help you to embody the practice of being peace and love and joy. But you must have, as a parent, the consciousness. And
mhm,
I completely agree with you. I think that when you reiterate the problems and when you're holding in your own consciousness all of the reasons why either you don't have time, or a lot of the parents I talk to don't think they're good mothers because they can't reach their children, and they can't reach their children because I feel there could have been an infraction or a trauma that happened,
mhm,
and they're feeling guilty, and they're holding on to the guilt rather than, as you said in that beautiful lesson you gave us a week or so ago in the Friday group, lead with your heart.
mhm.
Stretch up, put your shoulders back,
Yeah.
come into the room, leading with your heart. uh, that is a
Yeah.
very powerful exercise.
Well, for those people who didn't hear that, like what I was expressing
Yeah,
was how a lot of people are hunched over. A lot of people are, without being conscious of it, you're actually hiding your heart because your whole body is covering. It's a device that most of us picked up as children as a protective device.
that's right. Right.
And what I was suggesting is to just physically stand up tall and really be conscious of your heart space in front of you. So you're actually pushing the heart out in front of you. And then you're always conscious of the heart, like being open to love, sending light out from your heart. And then I was suggesting from that place of letting the heart lead you now. So you're following, you're letting the love lead you, the light lead you. As I was saying, how often people don't look each other in the eye. It's a fear point. Like we're afraid to join with others. And to just, when you're in this grocery store and when you're with your child or when you're with a friend, to make eye contact, to make that joining. And I really loved what you're saying about how people don't think they have time. Like really encouraging people to be intentional, to recognize like this is it. And I want to ask you what you think are the biggest problems that children or teenagers are having right now. In my mind, it's distraction. Like in my mind, it's electronics, it's getting pulled away from your own core and not being present with anything around you except, the cell phone. I've got mine right here, and it's just always,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I want to underscore, though, the fact that when you say lead with your heart, your heart is the most powerful generator of electromagnetic energy in the body. It's even more powerful than the brain. And people can feel what you're feeling 8 to 10 feet out from
Mm,
where you're standing.
I love that.
So you can imagine,
What did you call it? It's that, what were the words you just used? The heart is what is it?
it's an
Electromagnetic.
electromagnetic energy. It's a generator of electromagnetic energy.
Have you ever heard of heart math?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
you, of
I have done
course.
all the research, of course.
Yeah.
Um, and, because the magnetic field around the heart is more than 5,000 times greater in strength than the field generated by the brain,
Mm,
we have to use that as we practice the Course in Miracles to drop out of our heads and into our hearts.
mm-hmm,
And here's what I feel is really a serious deficit for most kids because the device is so addictive and difficult to get away from.
mm-hmm,
There's a lack of ability to truly socialize and have social emotional intelligence.
mm-hmm.
We know that, as you said, when you look someone in the eye and you greet them, you shake their hand, how are you doing? Or nice to meet you. Do you know how I every kid I meet, that's what I do with them. I love to teach them how to greet each other,
Mm-hmm.
eyeball to eyeball,
Yeah.
extend your hand, give somebody a
Yeah.
nice handshake.
Do you know
It,
what I heard? We
what?
have the Friday morning group, and
Yeah.
somebody was watching online last week, and she was typing in the board. I thought this was so funny because I didn't hear about the comments until later. But she was saying, nobody's hugging heart to heart. You all should be hugging heart to heart. I guess we were all just, I don't know what we
Wow.
were doing, but
Wow.
and and that was when, because for me, I'm not conscious of hugging heart to heart with someone, but it is, to me, it's more than just a physical, like I don't need to put my heart on someone else's heart, but I'm aware of, I'm open when somebody's in front of me. And I totally agree with you about the social connections, like that we're so disconnected.
Yeah, we're connected, but we're not connected heart to heart.
Hmm.
And there is a lot of misunderstandings. Text messaging is a very, um, I'd say, one-dimensional kind of communication.
Hmm.
When you're missing vocal resonance, you're
Yeah,
missing the energy of the person behind it. It can be so easily misunderstood.
I know.
Happened to me just the other day. Someone took a phrase that I wrote, and I do not like to text message,
Yeah.
and it was completely taken like in the opposite spirit of it. However, I would feel that when you study the course and you're an earnest student yourself as a parent, you really want to take that lesson and see if you can't bring it down to an elementary level, embody it.
Hmm.
Uh, First, last week when I spoke with you, one of the first ways that I ask parents to get in touch with how you can have miracle mindedness is for a parent to just in the quiet receive God's word and ground yourself first and foremost every morning, and then go in and greet your children from that space of being in a peaceful place, not like a frantic wreck, like
Hmm.
hurry up, we're going to be late. I mean, watch how that goes. It's such a spin out of control. The kids get all fired up and then they get jittery, and before you know it, there's an argument before they leave. I have something that I really feel is very important called the send off. Do not send your children off in the morning without having yourself being in a place where you are peaceful and you're consciously
Hmm.
giving them love, sending them out the door. It could be something as easy as a heart sticker or a little note in there on the napkin that you write for their lunch. Something that consciously grounds you and tells them you are sending them with good, feelings out into
Hmm.
the world, and with the positive expectancy that they're going to have a great day and they should come home and tell you all about it. All
Yeah.
right.
I just wanted to say also, this is the third time I've had you on because I just love you, Dr. Roxy. And I just want to let people know that if you're liking what you're hearing here, I interviewed Dr. Roxy on Unity Radio,
That's
and
right.
that's available. And Dr. Roxy also did an amazing 1 hour class for our Friday morning group, which is also available on YouTube. And I remember when we talked on that Unity interview, you gave two other practices. And one, so the first one was the send off, I remember. And then there was another one,
Welcome back.
the welcome back. And then there was the table one, the dinner
That's
one.
right. That's right.
And
So
what was the welcome back one?
I think it's really very easy for parents to be preoccupied themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how kids model being preoccupied.
Mm-hmm.
I witnessed a welcome back from a parent not too long ago, and although she said, "Oh, hi, hon, do you want to come in here and have some hot chocolate?" And he said, "No." And I thought, "Oh, that's too bad. You have to learn the art of motivating by questions that allure your children to reconnect with you. And it's up to the adult, not the parent, not the child, by the way, to bridge that gap when you come back home. And if you're not off your computer yourself and ready to greet that kid with all your heart, like you just talked about, your heart energy, that vital heart, they're going to go right in the other room, put the
Yeah.
earbuds on, and text message every kid in the class.
So what would have been a better?
A better reception is, first of all, you have to set the tone. And
Mm-hmm.
because we are multisensory energy beings, if you have something sweet cooking up on the stove, it could be hot cider, or it could be, I don't know, one of my friends likes to make pumpkin bread for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of cinnamon or something with a very palpable aroma in the air
Mm-hmm.
immediately signals to them, here's a warm place to come home to, and we're ready to
Yeah.
break bread. We're ready for you.
That's
Come on.
actually kind of like my childhood, really. I mean, if you
Yeah,
look at all of the movies, the idea of warm chocolate chip cookies
yeah,
baking in the oven,
yeah.
and we
And
have lost that art
it's
actually.
not that it's so hard to do. It's just that I think a lot of mothers who are working just
Hmm.
can't figure out how they can incorporate that, and yet the payoff is so great.
So what would someone do? Because that's true. Like someone might be listening to this and saying, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? I can't be home every day when the kids come home to bake them cookies." And so what could somebody do who, let's say, maybe isn't there when the kids get home from school?
Well, first of all, I do not recommend it if it's at all possible to have a job where you do greet your kid when he gets home or she gets home. It's paramount. It
Hmm.
is part of the reason why we have this chasm that's being created between child and parent more and more intensely and deep in our society, because we're forgetting about the very basic needs
Hmm.
that children still who are in their formative years need. They need to know you're there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
Thomas,
love I love where this conversation's going actually, because for me, we're talking about miracle mindedness and we're talking about children, but what you're saying, I can already see some people going, I need to work, I have to pay the bills. And what my experience has been over the years is when you become so deliberate for how you're going to show up in your life and you get rid of the lack idea. And if you get rid of the idea that you have to provide for it yourself, like we don't know that we have a presence and a power that loves us, that cares for us. And so almost everyone is living from a place of just scarcity and fear. And I love this idea, like thinking, okay, how can I rearrange my day and my life so that I'm home, finished with work by 2:30 if the kids come home at 3? How? And then to really sit with that, like I love that, like it's because so often we just think, no, I just have to, I have to work 40-hour weeks and 50 and 60-hour weeks.
I
I
think
think what
what we're looking at now with what's happening with kids of today is the effect of not having the welcome back.
Hmm.
There's no reception for them. And when there's no reception for them, physically, emotionally, especially, then they go elsewhere and they're going to go to their friends. And then when you're there, you're wondering over the weekend, so why doesn't my kid want to stay home? And we're all together because you weren't there and they had to learn where else they could get that love or that attention from. Yes, there are two ways that you could rethink your schedule. One, do you, are you working in an environment where your boss would allow your kid to come home to you at work for that other 2.5 hours, sit and do their homework next to you at your workplace if that's possible? Or if you work for in a store where there's a place where a kid could curl up next to you somewhere close as you're working the counter, that's another way. In the old days, yeah, my father had a fruit and vegetable market, and I mean his dad did, and that's where they went after school, and you either helped or you just connected right there right away after school. There wasn't a lot of space for you to get lost and get into. What do? Kids are numbing each other out, they're borrowing each other's medications, they're uncomfortable with the loneliness and they don't know how to fill it, so they're learning how to experiment with medication that may alter their state of consciousness. This
Hmm.
to me is the most dangerous reason for us to pay attention.
Hmm.
Slow down. If you cannot get home exactly when that youngster does, you've got to have someone there to greet them.
Hmm. Yeah. And
Really.
what was the last one? The dinner time one?
And the dinner time would be a way to kind of lace it together and recuperate the loss of not being there. But I do not recommend it if it's at all possible not to have someone greeting that child. It's
Hmm.
an important time. It's
um,
it's the breaking bread and slowing down and having a meal together. It
Hmm.
seems so simple, and yet to do it 3 or 4 times a week in these days, it's like asking parents to rearrange their whole lives. It's so uncommon and difficult for them
Hmm.
to figure out how can they do it.
It's
The
so
artist.
interesting for me because to me it really is just about becoming deliberate. I can remember years ago I moved in with my dad. I
Yeah,
moved back from Wisconsin to New Hampshire, and he was not making dinners. And I remember I moved in and I said, "Okay, Dad, we're going to have dinner every night together." And he actually said, "I don't want to." He said, "I don't want to." And I just like, "No," because I know I'm going to eat dinner. And I just remember making a decision from that because I love the idea of Europe, like it's just this thing of just meal times are so important. They're times to connect. And a lot of people are eating dinners by themselves, they're single but that changed everything because now every night we knew we're going to sit down at 6 or 7. And it wasn't complicated. I didn't make complicated meals, but it was the act of sitting down. And it's carried into my whole life now. Like
yeah,
Bill and I, my husband, he knows we eat dinner. We shut down the work,
yep,
and that's part of the day. It's part of the way we connect. It's just there's no electronics when we're eating, there's no computer. It's just me and Bill and the food and the time together. And I do think it's just a matter of being intentional. You just really have to rearrange your priorities a little bit.
yeah. Well, and also the sports and different ages, they're doing different things. And even so, if you look at your work schedule and you really make it a priority,
Hmm.
it is possible. It is very possible. I've even said to parents, you know what, when you go and pick up the girls, I said to this one mom, just imagine before you go home and rush into whatever craziness is there, take the car, go into a place where you have an overlook onto a beautiful
Mm.
lake or a park or a forest or someplace very peaceful. bring their snacks or a thermos of hot chocolate, slow down, shut the car off, pour out the hot chocolate, and just ask how was your day and connect with your kids before you get home, because those 10 or 15 minutes can be the best that you will have
I love that.
to help you keep your family knit for the rest of the evening and
Mhm.
in peace, which is the most important thing. And we're finding, where is the harmony of the family? Well, we have to be the ones who work it and make it
Mhm.
happen.
Now, do you work with parents mostly or
What
children?
happens is when I work with the children who've been brought to me because of their anxieties, mostly,
Mhm.
and all kinds of stress disorders, is that I end up really coaching the parents into shifting a few parts and pieces of their everyday life in order for there to be more harmony, more grounding, more family values being expressed throughout the week. Yeah, so that's
I
that's
wanted to talk about, you have a new upcoming 4-week online course,
yeah,
which starts on March 22nd,
right.
2018, which is just 2 days from
Thursday.
now.
Yeah.
And it says it's a brand new 4-week online course that is designed to bring the shift in your family life you've been desiring. You hold the key to miraculous transformation. I will lead you to the doorway that opens your mind and heart to help you and your child cope with conditions ranging from anxiety, sleep disorders, lack of confidence, to coping with cancer. There is a new way of seeing the problem, your child, and yourself. And I'll show you how, because I have been perfecting the best we know in fields of neuroscience, positive psychology, stress management, and A Course in Miracles for over 20 years. And I will translate the course principles into a child's language through my own deep understanding of child development, spirituality, and the creative arts. In short, I will take any abstract thought and bring it down to an elementary level a child can comprehend and you can embrace with grace and ease. And you've broken the program into 2 parts. The adult concerns are addressed. If you're a parent, teacher, or caregiver, I provide you with a new perspective. And the second part is the child's experience.
So
And
how
you
do
say it's
you?
all tangible, concrete, full color, thus providing you the necessary wisdom tools. And it's an audio program.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So here's an example, Lisa, of how I do this two-part version. So let's say we're talking about A Course in Miracles. I'm never upset for the reason I think, lesson
Mhm.
5. And we want to try to get through to our children who come back and they're upset and they have something that they're struggling with, right? So I'll go through the course material on the adult level, but then I will say, here's what I want you to do when your kids come home and they ask you, Mom, I'm upset about this and I'm upset about that. Okay, we are going to put on a new pair of glasses and
Ah,
do things differently. I want you to
yeah,
see that you can find a new way to see.
yeah,
My mother used to say, put on those rose-colored glasses,
yeah.
and I give the situations in my life the meaning they have for me. Now, let me see if I can see differently, right? So you put on,
Uh,
physically do
yeah,
something, right?
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. When you use a tangible
Hmm.
way to break the pattern of the same old, you open up the imagination and you're creating creative thinking and
Hmm.
flexible thinking. So you come from that space. I think using humor is brilliant. It's a wonderful way to get out of stuckness, get out of old ways of thinking,
Hmm.
but it even helps parents.
It does.
So that's the idea. When I give parents that idea, they even like it.
Mhm. And just tell me a little bit before we end here, just a little bit more about your work. So you have the online course, which is starting, and then you do counseling?
Right. And I do use the expressive arts therapies where I use art, music, mm, guided imagery, teaching kids how to relax their minds and bodies. But I incorporate that in the child's language, which is all of the arts.
Hmm.
And I think that what really sets my work apart is that I'm not even expecting kids to do talking heads with me. We're
Hmm.
in, you know, the fun of play.
I love that. And I also know that you have lots of amazing meditations on your website also that people can listen to.
Right. As a creator of Mind Works for Children, I have beautiful programs that really do help parents teach their kids how to calm down and begin the meditation
Mhm.
process.
Yes.
Right.
Well, Dr. Roxy, you are a joy. I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing, and I really do encourage everyone to go to Dr. Roxanne Daleo's website, drroxannedaleo.com, and there's just a lot of great content there. Just a lot that you can get started right now, really just how to see the world differently, how to see your child differently, how to change your habits and really enter into a place of, like you said, miracle mindedness. So I thank you with all my heart.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye, everyone.